All right, so I want to speak for a few moments regarding the family of this young lady here, this young woman, Rashida, Rashida Adeleke. It says she's 15 here, and she was at the time of this article, but she's now, I think she's just turned 21, I think it is, and she represented Ireland in the World Athletics Championships over the last few days, and she finished fourth in the final of the 400 meters ladies in the athletics. Now, there's a whole different argument there as regards the fact that, as time goes on, it seems that in sprinting and in certain other disciplines, the Irish teams are becoming less and less Irish as time goes on, and that's a whole different argument. And maybe I'll come back to that one. But for now, what I want to look at is, and the reason I'm focusing on this particular family at the moment is because it's one that's in the news at the moment, um, and she's a name that people will have heard of, Rashida Adeleke, because been a lot of hype about her over the last few days, particularly with the World Athletics Championships coming up, and also because she was someone who had an outside chance of medal. So yeah, so her name is out there in the media at the moment. So I thought it was an appropriate time to take a look at how it is that she is in Ireland, that her family ended up in Ireland. Well, let's just have a look at this article here. It's from 2018. If we take a look down through the article itself, now this particular paragraph in the middle of the screen at the moment, it mentions that her mother Ade was standing near the finish line and she wept tears of joy. Ade and her husband Prince moved to Ireland from Nigeria 20 years ago. Okay. No more information as to what happened there, how they moved over, what the process was, why they moved. What exactly went on there. Like we're not told, we're left in the dark completely about what exactly happened there. But it says 20 years ago. All right. Let's just have a look back up at the date of this. So we're looking at the middle of July 2018. 20 years back from that gives us the middle of 1998. Now, isn't that an interesting date? What happened in June 1998? Have a think about that. Right, exactly. Good Friday Agreement. And one of the side effects, you could say, of the Good Friday Agreement was that there was a temporary loop created there, whereby if a pregnant woman came to Ireland and had her child, if she gave birth on Irish soil, from that time onwards, from June 1998 onwards, until that loophole was actually closed by popular vote by almost 80% of the people of Ireland in 2004. People basically could come, pregnant women could come wholesale into the country and completely exploit our citizenship laws in order to be allowed to stay in the country, in order that their child who would have just given birth to in the country would automatically become an Irish citizen, and so get an Irish passport. And then, as the main carer of that child, of course, the mother would also get an Irish passport. And then, of course, you've got reunification, which happens, and then all the various other members of the family get brought in, and so on. And this happened wholesale between the years of 98 and 2004, mostly with women from Africa, and within that again, mostly women from Nigeria. So it's no huge surprise, unfortunately, to learn that the parents of Rashida did exactly that. The mother of Rashida did exactly that, exploited our citizenship laws in order to be allowed to stay in the country, along with her child, and bring in further people then. And of course, the people of Ireland would of course have had to pay for the maternity costs, and would have had to pay for the passports, and so on. So So this is what went on. Unfortunately, we were exploited many times over by thousands of people. Unfortunately, thousands of women, mostly Africans, and of those mostly Nigerians, during those years between 98 and 2004. But Rashida, we know, has only just turned 21, and this is 2023, so it wasn't her. She wasn't the anchor. She wasn't the anchor child. She wasn't the anchor baby in this case. So who was? Well, let's see, can we find out about that? Okay, let's just bear with me for a moment. My phone is a little bit slow. Sorry about the delay. Okay, here we go. Now, yeah, here we go here. Let's just take a moment to kick in here. Tala athletes in top form in Dublin Championship. And once I can get into this window, it takes a moment or two to get in. But once I can get in, once it finally lets me in, oh no. Okay, well, finally, there we go. Okay, sorry about the delay. So, this article here is important because it tells us who the anchor baby was. It wasn't Rashida. Rashida's mentioned there, actually. And that is from 2017. Middle of 2017, Rashida was mentioned there. But she wasn't old enough to be the anchor baby. She wasn't old enough to be the anchor child. So who was the anchor child? The answer is down here until we finally get there. Here we go. Lati Adeleke, which is short for Latifa. Latifa Adeleke and Michael Ogunsiukan followed suit in the under-19 girls and boys 100 metres deciders respectively, before the former then also bagged a shot put title, with Jide Aduguns taking the boys' equivalent. So Latifa Adeleke is older sister of Rashida. She was in the under-19 girls category, okay? Under-19 girls category. And this was in mid-2017, okay? So she would have had to be under the age of 19 on the 1st of January 2017, meaning that by the middle of June 2017, she was either 18 or 19, okay? Which means that she was born in either 1998 or 1999. If she was born in 1998, that means that, well, even if she was born at the start of 1999, that would have meant that she was indeed the anchor child. She was indeed the anchor baby. So Latifa was basically the ticket. She was the golden ticket, if you like. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but this was how the parents of Rashida Adeleke and Latifa Adeleke, this is how they exploited the system. This is how they exploited our citizenship laws in order to, to get into the country really through the back door, legally in inverted commas, if you like. Okay, technically not illegal, but hugely exploitative, hugely dishonest. And unfortunately, this is what went on, like I said, wholesale. It wasn't just this family, it was many, many hundreds. In fact, it might even have been into the thousands of women and their partners in many cases, but predominantly the women, mostly from Africa, and of those, mostly from Nigeria, during those years between 1998 and 2004. And Ade Adeleke and her partner, Prince, they are the people who on this occasion exploited our citizenship laws to get into the country. And in so doing, they were allowed to remain. And, this is how the country has been taken advantage of, unfortunately, during those years between 1998 and 2004. This is not to in any way malign that girl Latifa or Rashida. Obviously, they're completely innocent. They're not the ones who exploited our laws. It was their mother, and to an extent the father. But it's still wrong. It's still absolutely wrong. It's still completely wrong. And there's a massive moral, obligation there, really, on our media, on our politicians, who, with this deafening silence of none of who've had the moral integrity, the decency to call out this charade, this sham, this complete abuse of our laws, this complete exploitation of our citizenship laws, which did transform our country, really, demographically, This is thousands and thousands of people who entered the country fraudulently, really, you could say, and completely dishonestly into our country. And that has had a permanent transformative effect on our country, It's fair to say that the significant majority of black families in Ireland today, certainly the ones who arrived into the country between 98 and 2004, entered fraudulently, entered by abusing our citizenship laws, by exploiting our citizenship laws, and really not giving a damn about fairness or decency, or they didn't care about that. And of course, Irish people had to foot the bill for them as well. Of course, that should not be forgotten as well. So yeah, it's just something that I want to draw attention to. I don't want to take away from the exploits of Rashida Adeleke. Obviously, she's done very well. Like I said, there's a whole different argument there as to whether it's right that we should have ever more, non-Irish people representing Ireland in certain sporting disciplines. But that's an argument for another day. But yeah, it's something to be aware of. The family of Rashida Adeleke and Latif Adeleke, there, the mother and the father, but obviously in the first instance it's the mother. They exploited our laws, abused our laws in order to gain entry to the country and to be allowed to remain in the country, and that's simply wrong. It'd be wrong in any country, not just in Ireland, but it's something that we should be aware of, and that our journalists and our politicians and various other people in positions of power and influence in this country really have an obligation to speak out about this and to draw attention to this. And it's something that people in Ireland should be aware of, because it's something that's not widely known about. And it's simply wrong the way that our country has been abused in this way.